We now turn our attention to Adcock Ingram, and of course the big question is whether Adcock can play catch up to Aspen.
Well, the opportunity for Adcock is the fact that a number of pharmaceutical products are now coming off patent. I think the number was in excess of 200, and we're talking globally. So they have certainly put a lot of dossiers through to the Medical Medicines Control Council, and if that filters through and their production line and distribution lines work effectively, they will certainly give Aspen a run for their money.
But before you go any further, does the Medicine Control Council in South Africa work effectively? Because they may have submitted the dossiers. Are they going to come to fruition anytime soon? Well, I think they're having problems on that front.
That is the challenge. It's always been the challenge for the pharmaceutical companies to get the products through timeously. And it's their tie-ups with international players that also helps, because what a lot of the international companies that own the patents are doing is 2 years before they come off patent, they are developing similar generics to their product and starting to sell it in the market, because that's effectively their competitive advantage. They're able to push the generics through and start taking that market share before the likes of Aspen.
One of the biggest challenges, you mentioned the ARV tender with regard to our discussion on Aspen, and of course Adcock really lost out on that tender the last time around, gaining less than the market expected, in fact far less than the market expected of that tender. Do you think that we're going to see continued pressure going forward because other players can offer lower prices, are more aggressive in that space?
Well, you know, to me the ARV tenders, you know, gives you size and quantity for that product. But as you saw now with Aspen, the donors came in with their product, and that hurt Aspen in terms of the tender and therefore their margins, etc. So
bottom line is you can't bet on this ARV revenue going forward. Is that the reality for South African healthcare companies?
To me, that's the reality, and they should not really be putting a major focus on delivery of antiretrovirals. That should just be seen as one line of business, and you know, the margins are going to be made in selling generic products and cutting deals with the medical aids. That's
before we go further with the fundamental discussion, Warrick, let's throw it to you. You've got the Adcock daily chart in front of you.
Yeah, again, just looking a little bit historically, we also had a bit of a pullback there over a late period of 2010, early period of 2011. Then the stock recovered quite nicely, but we see a hell of a lot of sideways movement here. Generally speaking...
does that mean it's going nowhere anytime soon, bottom line?
Exactly, yeah. Pretty much it's on hold. It's tested this level here at about 65 a couple of times. And then it tested the lows at about 58, 59. So we're just sort of humming along here at the moment. What I have liked just recently now in January is a bit of price action here, where we've seen instead, at least it's moving, and it's moved up with congruence, with a bit of momentum and direction and drive. And then it pulled back to make a higher low, and now we're starting to see it trying to go again for another phase or another wave up. What I don't like, however, is that the price relative at the bottom here, and that's basically the comparative between the stock itself and the JC All share. It's underperforming the market and has been doing so, well, other than in that period over there, it's been doing so for quite a while. So right now, I'd have to wait a little bit, probably about a month, just to see what happens with this action over here. And if it can break this level here at 64, then we'd be maybe taking a bit of a nibble there.
The other issue that we obviously need to chat about where Adcock is concerned is their firm drive into Africa. They've clearly stated that they want to get a stranglehold on the African continent, so to speak. Or maybe stranglehold is a bit aggressive. They definitely want to make a foray into Africa. Absolutely. Do you think they're going to achieve that?
I think they will achieve it. It really comes down to management commitment and doing transactions in Africa. You know, Vodacom MTN is always a classic, because Vodacom's management was so risk averse that they weren't prepared to take the kind of risks that MTN took in Nigeria, which was having security guards at certain base stations, etc. And one looks at their payoff that they receive today. It's fantastic. So to me, they're going to have to accept that there will be school fees that will be paid, but ultimately the return will come through.
Any further clarity if we look at that Adcock weekly from a technical perspective?
Well, again, I mean, ideally you should have been looking at the chart in I think that's 2009, middle of 2009 for this type of action. That would have been wonderful if you got into that. Then we saw the pullback, and you could have picked it up quite nicely. The discount 51, 52 rand, but you would have been sitting fairly tight for over a year now, just about. Again, once I say that is probably an accumulation phase, as long as we stay above this 89-day moving average, or in fact this is a weekly. So if we can stay above around 59, 58 rand at the moment,
it's going to continue to track sideways. What an exciting story.
Either sideways.
I want to leap out of my chair with excitement on this one. Hot or not?
Not at the moment. Not hot.
Ashraf, hot or not?
I would say not. That's certainly not my preferred pick in the sector right now.